What's the deal, my people? You know it is Don Tony Teflon, and I'm back at you another one, and this one is Lovecraft Country, Episode 1 Review. If you're not familiar with Lovecraft Country, you need to be, because I believe that this will be the next huge show on television. And just a quick overview of the show. It is basically a horror series that sends a black family on a quest across the 1950s America, where anyone that they meet can be a monster. I am so excited for this show. I have been waiting for this show ever since it was announced, and I could not have hoped for more. So let's break this down. Let's get right into this. Best opening episode ever. Now, I have watched a whole lot of television, a lot of television shows. I'm talking from all the way back in the days to modern times, and I am telling you that this is the greatest opening episode I have ever seen for a television series. The episode is actually so good that it scares me that they can live up to this and keep this up for the rest of the series. It's truly going to be a hard thing. But when we talk about character introduction, making you feel like you're there, they nail all of this 100%. It is beautifully done, and the director and the writers should truly be commended for what they put out in this opening episode. When you see a lot of these shows that have been coming out on Netflix and other streaming services, you say that these are good television shows, but this is truly a cinematic experience. This truly feels like you were watching a movie for this hour-long episode. The Jim Crow South. Now, me being a black man, I know about the Jim Crow era. I have heard stories about it from my uncles, from my mother, from my father, and my grandparents. Now, if you don't know what the Jim Crow era is, it is basically a set of laws. And these Jim Crow laws were state and local laws that enforce racial segregation in the southern United States. Basically, it's when all public facilities in the Confederate States of the United States were basically segregated from white and black people intermingling, which consisted of public places, schools, public transportation, restrooms, restaurants, drinking fountains. All these things were segregated. Black and white people were not permitted, or should I say, black people were not permitted to use the same things that white people were permitted to use at this time. Now, since I had family members that grew up during this time and lived during these times, I've heard many war stories, many tales of what it was like to be a black person in America at this time. And I will say that from the stories I've heard, because I did not live at that time myself, but from the stories I've heard and what I've seen depicted on this television series, I have never seen it depicted better and more realistic than it has been on this series. So for those people who only heard about it or truly didn't know what it was like, I think that after watching this opening episode, they definitely have a realistic idea exactly how it was to be black in America during this time, which was a terrible time in American history, one that should never be forgotten, so it can never be repeated. But once again, I think they nailed it in this episode, and I really think they did a tremendous job. The cast of the show. Let me tell you something about the person who cast this show. They did a tremendous job. First, Jonathan Majors. What a great actor this man truly is, and he shines in this show 100%. I think that people truly have seen this man's acting chops. I think you know, if you've known him, you know exactly how good of an actor he is. But he truly shines in this show. Courtney Vance, who doesn't love Courtney Vance? And I think that he is stellar and casted perfectly for this show. And although the episode has already been out, I'm still not going to spoil things for people who still may not have had the chance to watch it. I do not want to ruin anything, but I will tell you that the actors in this are perfectly casted. Next, the opening scene. You know, when you see opening scenes that are supposed to set the tone for episodes, usually they fall flat. This one, however, truly might be the greatest opening scene that I've ever seen on a television series. Oh my God, this was done so great. I just don't think how it could be done better. When I look back after watching it, I was basically stunned watching this opening scene. Like, my mouth was on the floor. I could not believe what I was seeing when they showed it. It was perfectly done. There's nothing I could say bad about this. Every night before the show takes place, 1 hour before the show takes place, and immediately after this show takes place, I will be doing a live stream, and during those live streams, we will talk about everything dealing with the show and everything we think is going to happen in the upcoming episode. So I'm going to try to keep these reviews kind of spoiler free, these short ones, but if you truly want to get into it with me and talk about this show, definitely subscribe and make sure you have that notification bell hit and join me on the pre-show and the post-show. And I'm telling you, we're gonna chop it up. I'll bring on guests and everything else, and we're gonna get right into and just dissect this show. Green Book depiction. Now, in this show, we see that it's Uncle George is the one who published the book Safe Negro's Traveler Guide, which is a green book, and people truly had to have these books back in these days. And the fact that they put this in this show is amazing, because it was not safe for black people to travel. So these books gave us a way to travel down south where we know we could be safe, or at least kind of safe, from the terror that was inflicted against black people. Because if you don't understand, back then, this was the time where lynching black people happened down south all of the time. Not once a year, all the time these things were going on to black people, and no one was being arrested or being held accountable for these actions. So black people came up with things like these green books so we could travel from state to state without being attacked or without being killed while we do so. The plot that we are set up with, and that is basically, where is Montrose? That is what Tick has come back home to find out, having gotten a mysterious letter from her father, whose location seems to be a place that's not a real life location of Devon County, Mass, which has some type of connection, though it's unclear at the time, to Salem. Right? That is gorgeously portrayed. And even though they have this green book, we see that when they head east, they get into one encounter after another, with police, with creatures, with creatures who eat police. All these different things are excellently done. This plot is gorgeous. I cannot wait for episode 2. Again, if you are looking for a show to watch, like you are just looking for a great television show to watch, you have finally found it. Give this show a 100% shot. I cannot see how you could be disappointed with this show. The cast, being a black man again, seeing this predominantly black cast just totally shine on screen is really heartwarming for me to see. They have done this show right. They have done this book justice, and I'm telling you, you are truly going to enjoy this show. Again, if you want to go into spoilers territory with me on this, check out the pregame show that will come out every hour before this show goes on air. So that will be 8 o'clock Eastern Standard Time, but depending on your time zone, it could be different. And immediately after the show is over, I will be doing a post-game show where I will bring on guests and we will talk about everything we just experienced in that episode and give predictions of what we think is going to happen in the next episode. I truly hope that my excitement after seeing this first episode truly and genuinely shines through on this review. And I truly hope that if you have not seen this show, give it a chance. You are going to be missing out if you don't. This is the next big show, the next big Game of Thrones type show. I can't see it failing at all, but we will see how it holds. So if you like the way I do this, thumbs up this video, subscribe, and click that bell so you can be notified every time I drop a new Lovecraft Country review. And until next time, you know who it is. Peace and stay sexy.